Former British Prime Minister David Cameron has made an unexpected return to government after being appointed as the new Foreign Secretary. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is reshuffling his cabinet. He has sacked Suella Braverman as Home Secretary, replacing her with James Cleverly. This follows a public criticism of the way police handled a pro-Palestinian march on Saturday. For his part, Mr. Cameron says he hopes past experiences will help him deal with current international challenges. Joining us now is Sonny Iroche, financial and infrastructure consultant and senior academic visitor at the University of Oxford. Good morning, Mr. Iroche. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ruben. Thank you.
Well, first, let me start with this, your tie. I hope it's not eating college tie, because David Cameron is a product of eating college. This one looks like a local version.
Well,
which village school tie is this?
This tie is a tie of Government College Umuahia Old Boys Association, otherwise known as the Eating College of Nigeria. So I proudly wear it, also in solidarity with David Cameron, who is an old boy of the original Eating in UK. Not forgetting that Government College Umuahia, like King's College, were all founded by our British colonial past.
That is true. That's true. Okay, I take that back. It's not a village school.
It cannot be. School of Chino Achebe?
No, it's not a village school. Government College Umuahia, with all the greats that passed through that school. Quickly.
Yeah.
Prime Minister Sunak has attempted a big throw of the dice, and it's already causing ripples. The Brexiteers are angry. The right wing of the Conservative Party, they are, in a bad mood, in a foul mood, because of the removal of Suella Braverman. Now, this shock and awe approach is Rishi Sunak taking a gamble.
Well, thank you very much, Ruben. The Brexiters are angry at the return of a prime minister who had advised them against Brexit. And you'll ask yourself the question, is Britain better off today being outside of the EU? The answer is no, because they've lost a lot of trade and investment grounds to Germany, France, and the other countries that remain in the EU. And the right-wingers have always had a problem with David Cameron. For me, I admired the fact that David Cameron, having been Prime Minister, was granted a peerage to become a member of the House of Lords and now serve under a Prime Minister, a position he had occupied. This shows you grace, this shows you maturity, and this shows you the advancement of the British system. And I hope and pray that one day, ex-Nigerian ministers will be able to serve the country. What's important is not the individual, but serving a country. Because David Cameron rightly said that politics to me is about a team enterprise, how we can help his Conservative Party towards the election in 2025. That is where Rishi Sunak, I think, has his eye.
Is this not just about elections? Let's call it what it is. At a point in time where Rishi Sunak needs a lot of thought leadership as regards the Middle Eastern crisis, and it's causing a lot of big problems in his back. I mean, Suella Braverman left because of that, because it was said that she sided with the right-wingers with that article she wrote against the police force and everything. And he just needs to regain his party, because already that decision to remove Suella Braverman has led to talks about close to 50 lawmakers trying to trigger a vote of no confidence in Rishi Sunak. So is it not just about election, and this is the last roll of the dice for Rishi Sunak? So it's like a case of, throwing everything at a game of casino now.
Okay, great. I read a lot of the headlines of the British newspapers late last night and this morning. Some said throws the dice, he brings back David Cameron to save his political career. But politics is about the dynamics of both domestic and international happenings. One, at this point in time in the history of the world, where we are facing the Israeli-Hamas conflict, the Ukrainian-Russia war, and again, for us in Nigeria, the Tinubu administration also would need our traditional friends. And David Cameron understands the dynamics of these tripod issues in the world. Whether the right-wingers are angry with Sunak sacking Suella Braverman, who made a sacrilegious statement against the British police for their usual system of lack of violence in handling protesters. And also, she went further to say that homelessness in the UK is a lifestyle choice. That is so insensitive. And as many people were criticizing Sunak for firing Suella Braverman, a lot more people were up in arms calling him to fire her. And a prime minister has the full responsibility, and the buck stops on his table for what is good, first for his country, and secondly, what is good for his party. Yes, politics, they are politicians, they are not clergymen, they are not pope or Anglican bishops. They are politicians, and their job is to secure victory for their party at all costs. And the move that Rishi Sunak did by bringing David Cameron is a good dice that he has thrown on the table of British politics.
But how about political baggage? Because he has always advertised himself as a change agent, and now he's moved completely away from being a closet liberal to the center ground. Would that not be to his disadvantage in the next elections?
I think that Rishi Sunak, David Cameron, Liz Truss, all those prime ministers, all those parliamentarians are mostly Oxford graduates, and they are trained to look at the most effective governance and policies and changes that would make them win. The elections are up in January 2025, and Rishi Sunak and his party are preparing. You will never have any situation where everybody agrees. It is democracy. Majority will have their way, but the minority will have their say. I consider the right-wing people as a minority at this time, because what Suella Braverman did was in bad taste. Castigating the British police at this time, you don't do a thing like that, especially as the Home Secretary. There are ways and manner of doing things. Some policies and some opinions of a minister should first be ironed in-house before going public. You should not go to public on such a sensitive matter without consulting the Prime Minister, your employer, and your colleagues in cabinet. You don't do things like that.
Well, a lot of people are saying this is just grand hypocrisy with David Cameron. I mean, don't take it away from David Cameron. He's a very talented man. In fact, the professor that taught him in school said he's about the ablest student he ever taught. But this is hypocritical, because this is the same David Cameron that had an all-time majority when he was elected. And it was that majority that made him say, okay, let me test out my power among the Eurosceptics, as they were called then. Now they're Brexiteers. Yeah. And they had the referendum where he lost. And he said, because I lost, I don't want to have anything to do with a Brexit government. So this is the same David Cameron that's coming back to serve in a Brexit English government. The same government he walked away from. Because he could have continued to be a prime minister and try to mash out Brexit. But he said, no, I don't want to be part of it. So a lot of people are saying, why is he coming back? And also, he has scandals befalling him. Example is the grain sales scandal that he had with the famous billionaire, where he was sending text messages and all of that. So what would you say as regards that? People are saying, oh, this man is bored. He's made a lot of money from the likes of the grain sale, and he's bored. He has nothing to get, so he wants to come back to government.
I don't think you'll say it's boredom. For a patriot like David Cameron and any other patriot, what's important is your country. We all are patriotic about that. Most of us are patriotic about Nigeria. And for him, no human being is without a fault. And no human being will be so rigid that he will not look at the flexibility side of life. Yes, at that point in time, he conducted a Brexit referendum, he lost, and he did the honorable thing to step aside. Now his country needs him via his party, and they called him to come and serve. And don't forget that there was behind the scene lobbying by people like William Hague, who served under him from 2010 to 2014 as Secretary of State of Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Affairs. So you have give and take. Personally, I believe in a positive flexibility as opposed to negative rigidity. So if we are not rigid human beings, we are not robots, we are able to look at contemporary situation and we can change our minds. Okay, on the Greensfield capital scandal, where he was sending text because he was an advisor to the board of Greensfield capital. We are all human. No one is perfect. So, okay, he made that mistake, and I'm sure he did apologize, and they went through the inquiry, and it was dealt with at that time. So let us allow the ex-prime minister to breathe, like we say in Nigeria.
Okay, quickly, two things. David Cameron is coming back at a time when there is conflict in the Middle East, and is now foreign secretary. He's pro-Israel, of course, you know, and it's likely to be pro-Israel. But what do you think will be the implications of his being foreign secretary at the time of this conflict? And what message is Sunak trying to send across? And the second thing, earlier when you started, you said, oh, it's about service and all of that. But do you think it's possible in Nigeria that a sitting president will just wake up one morning and call on a former president to come and be a member of his cabinet, and he will agree, given our own kind of cultural orientation?
Good. The UK is hundreds of years of democracy and the parliamentary system. It's a parliamentary system, and the prime minister only emerges as first amongst equal. Culturally, you mentioned, if you call an ex-president to come and serve under another president, it's we Nigerians that will say, what did he forget in government? So he wants to come and chop again, wants to continue the chopulation. But this is a system that has matured over years, that you have 4 generations of people who have been in parliament, in the House of Lords. So different ball game for the British, different from Nigeria. We're only 63 years old in a democratic governance, which was truncated by the military. We'll get there. It's a matter of evolution. We'll evolve. That brings the zoology part of my life, where we talk about not survival of the fittest naturally, but Darwin came up with a theory of natural selection, that people mutate and evolve based on the environment and circumstances. Nigeria will get to the point where when you're retired, you've been there, done that, they'll call you to come and serve, and based on the exposure and the children we're having today, they'll be able to do that. We'll get there one day. Then back to the Middle East crisis. When I met David Cameron in Oxford, he told us a story of when he left 10 Downing Street, and his kids said to him that they stayed with a friend. He had no house to move to. His house was rented. And his kids asked him that, why are people coming to our house when they were prime minister? And now they're not coming to our house. He said to them, I'm no longer prime minister. What that tells me is this is a father who sees the killing, the murder of children in Gaza. And he has a long-term relationship with Netanyahu when he was prime minister and when he was prime minister. I think when people who are familiar with each other sit down to discuss, I want to believe that he's going to push for a ceasefire. Everyone is tired of killings. Killings don't help anybody. Every war will end up on a negotiating table. So he comes with the experience where he can call on Bibi Netanyahu and say, listen, let's stop this carnage. I think enough is enough. So the world has gotten to a stage where we can no longer stand genocidal killings of women and innocent children.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Sonny Iroche, for joining us on the morning show. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.